100% guaranteed she will reappear and beg to be with you again. Psychology tricks. Love is not a bargain to be negotiated. It's a mirror showing you you are when nobody is watching. She's gone, and you're still here, sitting in that weird in-between space where everything seems to point back to her. A song in the car, a place you used to eat. Even the morning light feels colder, like the room itself knows something changed. And your mind keeps looping the same questions on repeat. What did I do wrong? What should I have said? If I just explain it better, would she come back? Somewhere under all that noise is a quiet hope, almost a prayer, that she'll realize she made a mistake and return. Now here's the truth that sounds harsh until you understand it. She might come back. There's a real chance she will. But not because you find the perfect message. Not because you finally convince her with the right words. She comes back when you stop chasing the ending. When you stop staring at your phone like it's a life support machine. When you stop checking her profile like it's a stock chart for your self-worth. She comes back when you genuinely rebuild your life, without her at the center of it. That's when the silence becomes loud to her. That's when your absence becomes real. And the irony is, by the time she feels it, you may not even want her the same way anymore. And no, that's not some cheap tactic. It's cause and effect. Because the version of you that's begging internally, waiting, hovering, doesn't inspire respect. It doesn't create curiosity. It actually confirms her decision. Not because you're a bad man, but because what you're projecting isn't love. It's need. And need is heavy. Need clings. Need drains the oxygen out of a relationship. She didn't fall for a man who needed her to function. She fell for a man who had a life, direction, purpose, self-control, someone who was strong with or without her attention. Somewhere along the way, that man faded. You started orbiting her. You made her the sun. And when you did that, the balance broke. She didn't leave because you were unworthy. She left because the gravity shifted, and there was nothing left for her to respect, chase, or even miss. So if you're tired of the shallow advice, just move on, or she doesn't deserve you, good. Because this isn't about playing games to get her back. This is about understanding why she left and becoming the kind of man who doesn't get abandoned emotionally in the first place. The man who can lose someone and still stand tall. And here's the real win. If she does come back, you won't be standing there starving for her approval. You'll be standing there with options, with standards, with peace. You'll be able to choose calmly, not just accept whatever she offers because you're afraid of being alone. That's the shift. That's the power. That's what we're building here. 1. She didn't leave because of one moment. Let's slow this down and look at it clearly, because if you truly want her to reappear and beg to be with you again, you must understand this first. She didn't leave because of one moment. It wasn't that argument. It wasn't the forgotten text. It wasn't the canceled dinner. Those were surface details. What really happened unfolded quietly over months. Attraction eroded in silence. That is how it always works in female psychology. A woman doesn't wake up one morning and suddenly feel nothing. She drifts. She observes. She feels the shift long before you do. And here's the hard truth. Somewhere along the way, you stopped being the man she was originally drawn to, not because you became a bad man, not because you failed in one dramatic way, but because you slowly abandoned the qualities that made you compelling in the first place. When she met you, you had momentum. You had direction. You had a life. You weren't staring at your phone waiting for her reply. You weren't rearranging your entire week just to prove devotion. You were busy building, moving, laughing, striving. She stepped into your world. She didn't become the center of it. That difference is everything. In female psychology, desire grows in space, not in pressure. It grows when she feels she is choosing you, not when she feels responsible for you. When a man makes a woman his entire emotional oxygen supply, love slowly turns into obligation. And obligation is not romance. It is weight. Don't confuse closeness with fusion. Don't confuse loyalty with losing yourself. Be centered. Be grounded. Be a man with his own gravity. Because here's one of the most powerful psychology tricks most men ignore. People value what feels self-sustaining. When you stopped going to the gym, stopped chasing your goals, stopped meeting your friends, stopped developing your mind, you unknowingly communicated something subtle but powerful, that she was your only source of fulfillment. That is not attractive. That is pressure. And pressure suffocates desire. Think back to the beginning. You weren't trying to how to fall in love with her by clinging tighter. You were living fully. She saw your independence. She felt your calm certainty. She sensed you would be fine with or without her. That emotional self-sufficiency is magnetic in female psychology. When that disappeared, so did the mystery. So did the polarity. So did the quiet tension that makes a woman lean forward instead of lean away. Understand this. Making her your entire world did not make her feel cherished. It made her feel responsible for your happiness. And no woman wants to carry that weight long term. Love thrives when two whole people choose each other, not when one disappears into the other. If you truly want her to reappear, don't chase. Don't beg. Don't send paragraphs explaining how much you need her. That is the fastest way to confirm her decision. Instead, rebuild the man she were first drawn to. Return to structure. Return to discipline. Return to purpose. Reopen the parts of your life you closed. Rejoin the gym. Call your friends. Reignite your ambitions. Clean your space. Upgrade your wardrobe. Sharpen your mind. Not to impress her, to reestablish yourself. Because here is another truth about psychology tricks. Absence combined with visible growth creates curiosity. When she senses, even indirectly, that you are not collapsing but expanding, something shifts in her perception. Female psychology responds to strength that is calm, not loud, to confidence that is steady, not performative. You must become emotionally composed. No social media dramatics. No passive-aggressive posts. No late-night emotional confessions. Silence can be powerful when it is grounded, not bitter. That is how to fall in love again, not by forcing feelings, but by recreating the conditions where attraction naturally grows. And attraction grows in respect. Respect grows in self-control. Self-control grows in purpose. Do you see the pattern? When she left, she didn't just walk away from you. She walked away from a dynamic that no longer inspired her. Change the dynamic, and the emotional memory of who you used to be resurfaces. Women are deeply attuned to emotional contrast. When she compares the man who became overly available to the man who is now composed, focused, and fulfilled, curiosity awakens. Curiosity reopens doors. Don't misunderstand this. This is not manipulation. It is alignment. It is restoring the traits that naturally trigger admiration in female psychology. And when admiration returns, attraction follows quietly behind it. You must also shift internally. Release the desperation. Release the timeline. If your energy screams, "I need her back," she will feel that from miles away. If your energy says, "I am building something meaningful with or without you," that is different. That is grounded. That is compelling. One of the most misunderstood psychology tricks is this. People are drawn toward what does not chase them. It's human nature. The moment you detach from the outcome and reattach to your own growth, you regain power. And power, when calm and ethical, is attractive. So if you want her to reappear, stop focusing on her reappearing. Focus on reappearing as yourself. The strongest version. The disciplined version. The purposeful version. Be busy improving. Be unavailable for emotional chaos. Be steady. Be composed. Let her see, directly or indirectly, that losing you did not destroy you. It refined you. That contrast is what plants doubt in her certainty. That contrast is what makes her question her decision. That contrast is what reactivates memory and emotion. In female psychology, women often leave when they feel emotional imbalance, but they reconsider when they see stability restored. This is how to fall in love again without forcing it. This is how to use psychology tricks without manipulation, by elevating yourself rather than controlling her. And if she does come back, you will be ready, not desperate. If she doesn't, you will still have rebuilt a stronger life. That is the real victory. Don't disappear into relationships. Don't make love your only purpose. Let love complement your mission, not replace it. Because the man who has direction is attractive. The man who has boundaries is respected. The man who chooses rather than clings is remembered. And when a woman remembers how she felt around a grounded, self-sufficient man, she often circles back, not because he begged, but because he evolved. 2. Chasing her only confirms the breakup. Let's be honest about what's happening right now. You're doing what almost every man does after a breakup. You're trying to fix it with effort, with words, with explanations. You're sending long, carefully written messages about how you've changed, how you finally understand, how this time it will be different. You're reacting to her stories, liking her photos, watching everything she posts. Maybe you even accidentally show up at a place you know she'll be, hoping fate will look natural enough to disguise intention. Don't do that. Every one of those moves, no matter how sincere, sends the same message. It says, I'm still centered on you. I'm still waiting. I'm still emotionally parked where you left me. And in female psychology, that is not reassuring. It is confirming. It confirms the breakup was necessary. It confirms that the dynamic hasn't changed. It confirms that you are still operating from the same emotional position she walked away from. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. When you chase, you shrink your value. Not because you care. Caring is human. But because your actions communicate dependence instead of direction. A high-value man does not chase someone who has chosen distance. He respects the decision. He respects himself. That is the difference. Understand this clearly. Women are deeply attuned to emotional posture. They don't just listen to what you say. They feel the frame you stand in. When you send paragraphs trying to prove growth, it doesn't feel like strength. It feels like persuasion. And persuasion signals imbalance. A man who truly changed does not announce it. He lives it. Quietly. Consistently. Without performance. And here's the part that stings. While you're analyzing every conversation, replaying every mistake, trying to decode what went wrong, she appears to be thriving. She's out with friends. She's posting photos where she looks relaxed, smiling, maybe even glowing. You see it. You feel it. It hits your chest like a weight. But don't misread that image. She's not glowing because you're gone. She's glowing because the pressure is gone. That is a painful distinction, but it matters. When a woman feels like she has become someone's emotional oxygen tank, attraction fades. Slowly, quietly, not out of cruelty, out of exhaustion. When you made her the center of your universe, you thought it was devotion. To her, it felt like responsibility. And responsibility is not romance. In female psychology, attraction grows in freedom, not in obligation. When she felt responsible for your happiness, your mood, your sense of identity, the relationship stopped feeling like a partnership and started feeling like a job. Leaving didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like relief. That is why chasing her now only reinforces her decision. You are unintentionally reminding her of the emotional weight she escaped. Don't beg for a second interview when you're still showing the same resume. Be still. Be composed. Be focused. If you want any chance of shifting the narrative, you must shift yourself. A high-value man doesn't react impulsively. He recalibrates. He steps back. He rebuilds. Not to win her back, to win himself back. That is the foundation. Right now, masculine energy is not about force. It's about stability. It's about emotional self-control. It's about not allowing temporary pain to dictate permanent behavior. When you stop chasing, something powerful happens. The emotional spotlight moves off her and back onto you. And that's where it belongs. You must redirect your energy into your body, into your mission, into your friendships, into your growth. Don't post cryptic messages. Don't try to trigger jealousy. Don't perform happiness. Actually build it. That is how you attract women, not through strategy, but through substance. Here's what most men overlook. When she sees that you are not collapsing, when she senses that you are not orbiting her, when she realizes you are rebuilding with quiet discipline, curiosity awakens. Not because you manipulated her, but because contrast creates awareness. The man who once seemed emotionally dependent now appears centered. The man who once chased now moves with purpose. That shift is powerful. A high-value man does not need to announce his transformation. It becomes visible in his posture, his tone, his availability. He becomes harder to read, harder to predict. Not because he's playing games, but because he's no longer overexposed. And in female psychology, mystery paired with stability is magnetic. Don't misunderstand. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about caring in a controlled way. It's about understanding that masculine energy thrives in restraint. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you start becoming someone worth proving yourself to. If she returns, it will not be because you convinced her. It will be because she sees a version of you that stands on his own foundation. If she doesn't return, you will still have elevated yourself beyond the man who once centered his entire emotional world around one person. Either way, you win. So stop chasing. Stop explaining. Stop monitoring her every move. That path only confirms the breakup. Be grounded. Be disciplined. Be unavailable for emotional chaos. Because the man who respects himself, truly respects himself, is the man who can attract women without effort. And that is the man she remembers long after the silence begins. If you want her to come back, stop proving. Stop chasing. Stop explaining. Every message you send, every accidental run-in, every like on her story screams the same thing. You're still dependent. And dependence kills attraction. A woman doesn't return to the man who begs for validation. She returns to the man who can stand alone. The moment you pull your energy back, rebuild your focus, and make your life bigger than the breakup, everything shifts. She doesn't miss your texts. She misses your strength. She doesn't crave your words. She craves the man who doesn't need her to feel complete. So here's your move. Disappear with purpose. Improve in silence. Let your actions speak growth, not your explanations. And if you're ready to step into that version of yourself, drop this in the comments right now. I choose self-respect over chasing. Like this video, subscribe for more real psychological truths, and remember, attraction returns when neediness leaves. 3. Rebuild your life for real. Rebuild your life. For real. Not for show. Not to impress her. Not to trigger a reaction. But because this is the turning point where you either shrink into regret or rise into power. You stop texting. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to craft the perfect message that will suddenly make her understand. She already understands. What she needs to see is not your words, but your transformation. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That is Old Stoic wisdom. And that is your assignment. You do not chase. You do not persuade. You become. Because the man who is rebuilding his life does not have time to beg for attention. He is too busy building momentum. You wake up and you do not reach for your phone. You reach for discipline. You get up. You train your body. You sharpen your skills. You reconnect with your purpose. You create structure in your days. You create progress in your weeks. You create direction in your months. This is Stoicism win in action. Quiet improvement. Relentless consistency. No announcement. No drama. Just results. At first, it feels mechanical. It feels forced. You move your body even when your heart feels heavy. You focus on work even when your mind drifts. But you continue. Because discipline is stronger than emotion. Because an iron mind is built in repetition, not inspiration. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Right now, your imagination tells you that losing her is the end. Reality says it is a beginning. In modern life, it is easy to spiral. Social media makes you check her profile. Algorithms tempt you to compare your life to hers. Mutual friends feed you updates you did not ask for. But you must be different. You must guard your attention. You must choose what you consume. You unfollow if needed. You mute if necessary. You create space, not to punish her, to protect yourself. And as you protect your focus, something powerful happens. Your energy shifts. You start caring more about the business you are launching, the health you are reclaiming, the friendships you are restoring, the peace you are cultivating. You are no longer orbiting her world. You are building your own. And here is the truth most men miss. Attraction grows in absence when that absence is filled with growth. She expected you to collapse. She expected late night messages. She expected visible heartbreak. Instead, she sees silence. She sees progress. She sees stability. She hears from others that you look sharper, calmer, more centered. You are not broadcasting pain. You are broadcasting purpose. That unsettles her more than any speech ever could, because people are drawn to momentum. People are drawn to strength that does not need validation. This is not manipulation. This is evolution. You are not performing. You are transforming. And transformation is magnetic. When she senses that you are no longer waiting, something changes in her psychology. Scarcity appears. Curiosity returns. Respect rises. Not because you asked for it, because you earned it. Epictetus taught that we control our actions, not the reactions of others. So you focus on what you control: your schedule, your body, your finances, your mindset. You build an iron mind that does not crumble at rejection. You build emotional endurance. You train yourself to sit with discomfort without reacting. That is Old Stoic wisdom applied to modern relationships. That is Stoicism when lived daily. You replace scrolling with reading. You replace rumination with action. You replace hope with execution. Short steps, daily wins, measurable growth. And slowly, you notice something unexpected. You are not rebuilding to get her back. You are rebuilding because it feels right, because progress is addictive, because clarity replaces confusion. You stop thinking about her every 5 minutes, then every hour, then only occasionally. You stop checking if she viewed your story. You stop wondering who she is with. You start asking yourself bigger questions. Where do I want to be in 5 years? What kind of man do I respect? What legacy am I building? And that is when the real shift happens. Not when she texts, not when she reaches out, but when you realize you would be fine either way. That is power. That is freedom. And ironically, that is when she is most likely to reappear, because she can feel that you are no longer available in the same way. Even without contact, energy travels through networks. Mutual friends mention your name. She sees a photo of you engaged, focused, alive. She notices that your content is not about heartbreak. It is about growth. It is about projects. It is about life. You are not trying to signal anything. You are simply living. And that confuses her expectations. She thought you would remain stuck. She thought you would be frozen in regret. Instead, you are expanding. You are moving. You are building. And people are drawn to those who are moving forward. Remember this: no one values what feels desperate. Everyone values what feels steady, calm, grounded. That is why you must cultivate an iron mind. That is why you return to Old Stoic wisdom. That is why Stoicism win is not just a phrase, but a practice. You win by mastering yourself. You win by refusing to let emotion dictate your behavior. You win by becoming the kind of man who does not need closure to move on. When she sees that you are not chasing, not pleading, not explaining, she begins to question her decision. When she senses that you are content without her, she begins to reconsider. Not because you manipulated her emotions, because you elevated your standards, because you demonstrated resilience, because you showed that your world does not revolve around one person. And if she comes back, she will not be meeting the old version of you. She will be meeting a man with structure, clarity, and direction. A man who knows his value. A man who chooses, not begs. That is the difference. So stop trying to engineer her return. Engineer your growth. Stop analyzing her behavior. Audit your own. Stop waiting for a sign. Become the signal. Every day you act with discipline, you reinforce your identity. Every day you invest in your body, your mission, your circle, you strengthen your foundation. And foundations attract. Stability attracts. Purpose attracts. Rebuild your life. For real. Not halfway. Not temporarily. Completely. Because whether she returns or not, you will have won. And that is the ultimate victory. 4. Become the man who doesn't pause his life. Let's get something straight right now. If you truly want her to reappear and ask to be with you again, you must stop organizing your life around her absence and start organizing it around your purpose. That is the first and most powerful of all psychology tricks. Not manipulation, not games, not pretending you never cared. Real power. The kind that comes from understanding female psychology and how to fall in love without losing yourself in the process. The man who pulls this off is not cold. He is not heartless. He felt it. He may still feel it. But he made a decision. His life does not freeze because someone else walked away. Don't sit in emotional suspension. Don't replay conversations at midnight like they hold secret codes. Be the man who wakes up with structure. Morning ritual. Coffee brewed the same way. Body in motion. Work that demands focus. That is grounding. That is stability. And stability is attractive on a level most men underestimate. He reconnects with his world. Friends who knew him before the relationship. The ones who laugh loudly and tell the truth. He rebuilds parts of himself that were neglected. Old hobbies. New skills. Maybe he starts learning a language. Maybe he builds a business idea he postponed. Maybe he trains harder than he ever has. Not for revenge. Not for show. For alignment. You must understand this. Waiting for someone to decide your worth is a losing position. It signals dependence. And dependence quietly erodes attraction. This is where psychology tricks meet self-respect. When you grasp female psychology, you see something clearly. Women are drawn to men whose lives are already in motion. Not men standing still, hoping to be chosen. When he walks into a room, he is not scanning for her. He is not positioning himself to be seen. He is there to experience the moment. That is magnetic. Presence is rare. Most people are either in the past or anxious about the future. He is neither. He is steady, calm, engaged. Women feel that. Not because he is trying to create jealousy, not because he is playing hard to get, but because genuine detachment from outcome creates natural intrigue. That is one of the most misunderstood psychology tricks. When you stop chasing validation, you become interesting without effort. When you stop trying to prove your value, people begin to question it in a good way. They wonder. They observe. They lean in. He doesn't talk about his ex in every conversation. He doesn't drop subtle hints about growth or betrayal online. No dramatic captions. No emotional performances disguised as wisdom. He doesn't announce his healing. He lives it. And that silence speaks volumes. In female psychology, mystery paired with visible stability creates emotional tension. She notices the absence of desperation. She expects sadness. She expects outreach. She expects some signal that she still holds power. Instead, she sees a man continuing forward. Not cold, not bitter, simply moving. That contrast creates curiosity. Curiosity opens emotional doors. Now here is where it becomes deeper. When you understand how to fall in love the right way, you realize attraction thrives on polarity and independence. She cannot feel drawn to you if you are orbiting her decisions. She cannot feel the spark if you are emotionally available on command. Don't misunderstand this. This is not about punishing her. This is about reclaiming yourself. Be disciplined. Be consistent. Be busy building a life that excites you. Women are highly perceptive to shifts in energy. When your internal focus shifts from, how do I get her back, to, how do I elevate myself, the emotional dynamic changes completely. That is female psychology at work. And here's the twist most men miss. When you genuinely stop trying to make her return, that is when the possibility increases. Because now the frame has shifted. You are no longer the one waiting. You are the one progressing. The human mind values what feels scarce. If you remain emotionally accessible and visibly stuck, there is no urgency. But if she senses that you are evolving without her, that your attention is no longer centered on the past, a subtle question forms in her mind. Did I misjudge him? That question is powerful. That question can reopen connection. But you must be real about this. Don't fake improvement. Don't perform growth hoping she will hear about it. That energy leaks. Women detect inauthentic moves quickly. These psychology tricks only work when they are not tricks at all, but byproducts of real transformation. That is the paradox. The less you act for her reaction, the more your change affects her. The more you internalize female psychology instead of fighting it, the more composed you become. Composure is attractive. Emotional steadiness is rare. Understand this clearly. Attraction is not revived through pressure. It is revived through contrast. She left one version of you. If she sees the exact same version waiting, nothing shifts. But if she encounters a man who has grown quieter, stronger, more focused, and less reactive, her perception recalibrates. That recalibration is where reconnection can begin. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't send long emotional explanations. Be the man who handles loss with dignity. That is unforgettable. And here is the final layer. Whether she comes back or not, you win. Because you did not shrink. You did not collapse your world into one person's decision. You expanded it. That is how to fall in love without losing your center. That is how to use psychology tricks without manipulation. That is how to understand female psychology without resentment. You become grounded. You become composed. You become someone whose presence feels secure rather than seeking. If she reappears, she is responding to the man you became, not the one who pleaded. If she doesn't, you are already positioned for something better because your life has momentum. And momentum is attractive. Always has been. Always will be. So don't pause your life. Don't orbit her memory. Be active. Be evolving. Be centered. That is the move. That is the shift. That is the energy that changes everything. If this hit you, don't just sit there thinking about it. Act on it. Like this video, subscribe for more straight, practical insight, and share it with a man who needs to hear this today. But more importantly, make a decision right now. Stop pausing your life. Stop waiting to be chosen. Start building, moving, living. Drop this in the comments to lock it in. My life doesn't pause for anyone. Type it, own it, and then go live it. 5. If she reaches out, stay grounded. Now let's say it happens. Your phone lights up. A simple message, "Hey, how have you been?" Maybe it's a reaction to your story. Maybe she comments on something you posted. Maybe she finds a small excuse, an inside joke, a shared memory, a question about something only you would understand. On the surface, it looks casual. But you know what it is. It's a door cracking open. And this is where most men lose all the progress they made. They see that text and their pulse jumps. Their mind races ahead. This is it. She misses me. She wants back in. And without thinking, they respond instantly. Long messages. Emotional undertones. Subtle reminders of the past. They make themselves fully available. They slide right back into the version of themselves she walked away from. Don't do that. Because when you respond with urgency, you communicate something without saying it. I've been waiting. And the moment she feels that, the dynamic resets. Within days, sometimes within hours, the energy shifts again. She becomes slower to reply, slightly distant, less invested. Why? Because nothing changed. You didn't become a high-value man in that moment. You became predictable. But you're not that guy anymore. When she reaches out, you respond, but you respond as a man with a full life. You're not staring at your phone all day. You're not structuring your schedule around her mood. You have work. You have training. You have friends. You have goals. That is masculine energy. Steady, focused, purpose-driven. So your reply is warm but brief, friendly but not overflowing. You don't ignore her. You don't punish her. You don't try to teach her a lesson. That's insecurity disguised as strategy. Instead, you stay grounded. You keep it light. You keep moving. And here's the interesting part. She expected you to jump. She expected access. She expected familiarity. When she doesn't get that instant emotional availability, it creates contrast. And contrast creates curiosity. That is one of the simplest psychology tricks most men overlook. When you shift your behavior, you shift her perception. You must understand something about female psychology. Attraction is deeply connected to perception of value. If she senses that your life continued, improved, expanded without her, something clicks. She begins to wonder. Maybe he really has moved on. Maybe I underestimated him. Maybe I let go of a high-value man. That thought is powerful. Now maybe she leans in further. Maybe the next message is longer. Maybe she suggests a call instead of texting. Maybe she becomes more open, more vulnerable. Maybe she admits she made a mistake. Maybe she asks to see you. And this is where your composure matters even more. Don't rush. Don't treat her vulnerability as a green light to sprint back into the past. Be calm. Listen. Ask questions. Observe. That is masculine energy in action. Controlled. Measured. Clear. You have to assess the situation honestly. Is she reaching out because she genuinely recognizes your value? Or is she checking to see if you're still available? Is she curious because she feels she lost something meaningful? Or is she simply bored, lonely, or disappointed with someone else? There's a difference. A big one. When you are desperate, you can't see that difference. When you've done the work, when you've rebuilt your routine, strengthened your focus, and recentered your identity, you can. You're no longer reacting from fear of loss. You're evaluating from strength. That is what allows you to attract women consistently. Not games, not manipulation, stability. This is where most psychology tricks fail. They rely on surface tactics without internal change. But when you genuinely become a high-value man, disciplined, purposeful, emotionally steady, you don't need dramatic moves. Your calm becomes the message. Your patience becomes the signal. And here's the subtle truth. When she senses that you are not desperate, not waiting, not trying to secure her approval, she feels the shift. It's not about dominance. It's about self-respect. It's about alignment. You are no longer chasing. You are choosing. That energy changes everything. So if she reaches out, don't panic. Don't overinvest. Be polite. Be composed. Be centered. Continue living your life. If she truly wants back in, she will step forward with clarity and intention. And if she doesn't, you haven't lost anything because you didn't abandon your growth for temporary attention. Stay grounded. Stay discerning. Stay moving forward. That is how you protect your value. That is how you attract women. That is how masculine energy quietly reshapes the dynamic without force, without drama, without desperation. 6. What actually works and what doesn't. Let me tell you what doesn't work if you want the real power back in your hands. Pretending you don't care when you do. Playing little games. Posting happy photos to make her feel something. Dropping quotes to bait her attention. That is still reactive. That is still you orbiting her emotions. That is still you asking, silently, for permission to feel okay. And a man who asks for permission never feels free. Here is what actually works, and I'm going to say it in a way you can use today. In the real modern world where everyone is online, everyone is watching, and most men are quietly starving for control. Stop performing. Stop trying to be seen. Stop trying to win her back. Be the man who wins himself back. Because when you rebuild the man, the world responds. Women respond. Life responds. Not because you're begging it to, but because you are no longer desperate for it. That is the shift. That is the difference between a boy's tactics and a grown man's standards. You want her to reappear? Fine. Then stop chasing the result and start building the cause. You don't force someone to value you. You become valuable, then you let the world catch up. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And right now, if your thoughts are all about her, your life is being run by someone who is not even in the room. That ends today. This is Old Stoic wisdom, and it's not poetry, it's instruction. Your attention is your empire. Your focus is your currency. Spend it like a high-level man. Don't spend it like a man who is panicking. Epictetus put it bluntly, we suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. Translation for you. The breakup didn't crush you. Your interpretation did. Your rumination did. Your constant mental replay did. So here's the move. You stop judging your present through the lens of your past. You stop stalking her social media like it's a stock chart. You stop checking in under the disguise of being polite. You stop sending paragraphs. You stop accidentally liking old photos. You stop hoping she'll notice your silence. Because silence as a tactic is still a tactic. Silence as discipline is different. Silence as self-respect is different. Silence as an iron mind is different. And yes, I'm going to use that phrase, iron mind, because that's what you need, a mind that doesn't bend every time your emotions surge. An iron mind doesn't mean you have no feelings. It means your feelings don't get to drive the car. Here is the standard. What works is actually not caring whether she sees it or not. Not because you're trying to punish her, not because you're trying to impress her, but because you're done outsourcing your peace. You build a life so full that whether she's in it or not becomes secondary. You build mornings that don't need her to start. You build evenings that don't need her to end. You build goals that don't ask for her approval. You build habits that keep you steady when the world gets loud. That's not a trick. That's a foundation. That's what self-respect looks like when it's not performing. And if you want a psychology trick, here's the cleanest one. People feel your absence most when your life clearly moves forward without bitterness. Not with revenge. Not with spite. With calm. With clarity. With direction. That is Stoicism when in real life, quiet progress, visible stability, no messy speeches, no public theatrics. Seneca warned, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. So stop imagining the conversations you'll have when she comes back. Stop imagining how you'll finally say your piece. Stop rehearsing pain like it's a ritual. You're training your nervous system to stay attached to someone who left. Train it to return to you. Train it to hold the line. Train it to build. This is where modern life tries to trap you. The phone in your pocket turns longing into a loop. One scroll becomes an hour. One memory becomes a week. One message draft becomes a relapse. So you need structure, not motivation. You need a plan, not a mood. You must create distance that protects your dignity, not as punishment, as policy. You must remove triggers. You must clean the environment. You must stop feeding the part of you that wants to beg, because the part of you that begs today will regret it tomorrow. And regret is expensive. Here's your instruction. Pick 3 anchors and hit them daily. Your body, your money, your mission. Body, train like your life depends on it, because your confidence does. Walk, lift, sweat, sleep. Eat like a man who plans to live long. Money, stabilize your finances, improve your skill set, become sharper at your work, clean your debts, raise your standard. Mission, create something bigger than your feelings, a project, a purpose, a contribution, a craft. When your days have meaning, your nights have peace. When you have peace, you stop begging for love like it's oxygen. Viktor Frankl said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. That is the real pivot. You don't control whether she returns. You control whether you become the kind of man she regrets losing. And here's the part most men avoid because it requires maturity. If she does come back, you don't celebrate too early. You don't melt. You don't hand her the keys to your emotions again. You evaluate. You observe. You set standards. You ask, has she changed or is she simply lonely? Is she choosing you or choosing comfort? Is she respecting your boundaries or testing them? Because a high-value relationship is not built on a comeback story. It's built on consistent respect. So if she reappears, and yes, sometimes they do, especially when they realize you're not available for chaos anymore, you respond like a man with options. Calm, polite, brief, not cold, not eager, clear. You don't punish. You don't plead. You don't over-explain. You let your life speak. You let your growth be the message. That is Old Stoic wisdom applied to modern dating. Your character is your proof. Your stability is your attraction. Your absence from drama is your advantage. And I'll repeat it so it sinks in. What works is not caring whether she sees it or not. What works is building a life so full that whether she's in it or not becomes secondary. What works is making self-respect your default setting, not your performance. That's iron mind. That's iron mind again, because repetition is training. And if you want the banner to fly over your entire life, make it this. Stoicism win is not about getting her back. It's about getting yourself back. Stoicism win is waking up and choosing discipline over impulse. Stoicism win is refusing to chase attention and choosing to build value. Now listen closely. The guarantee isn't that she will beg. The guarantee is that if you do this correctly, you will never beg. You will never crawl. You will never bargain for love. And that is victory. Because once you become that man, one of two things happens, and both are wins. Either she returns and finally meets the upgraded version of you, or she doesn't, and you realize you outgrew the version of love that required you to shrink. Either way, you rise. Either way, you lead. Either way, you master your life. All right, my friend, I'm glad you stayed until the end. Let's bring this home in a simple, honest way. Here's the truth. She might come back. She might not. You don't control that. And any man who promises you control over another person is selling fantasy. What you do control is he become after she leaves. That's where your power is. That's where the shift happens. If she sees you chasing, waiting, checking her status every night, nothing changes. But if she sees you disappear into your own growth, your own discipline, your own direction, everything changes. Not because you're playing games, because you're no longer living for her reaction. And here's my sincere advice to you. Don't rebuild to impress her. Rebuild to respect yourself. Go to the gym because it clears your mind. Focus on your work because it builds your future. Strengthen your friendships because they remind you who you are. Do it quietly. Do it consistently. Do it without announcing it. When a man stops begging for love and starts building his life, something powerful happens. Either she comes back or he realizes he doesn't need her to. And that realization, that's the real win. So if this message hit you good, that means you're ready. Ready to stop waiting. Ready to stop replaying. Ready to step into a stronger version of yourself. Subscribe, not for me, but as a commitment to yourself. A commitment to growth. A commitment to becoming the man who doesn't fall apart when someone walks away, the man who levels up instead. Your story doesn't change when she returns. It changes the moment you decide your worth is not up for negotiation. Welcome to the next chapter. Let's build.